Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Small Business Show. My name is Swire Ho. You can also call me the promo guy. My guest today is Clay Staires from the Leadership Initiative. He's a former high school science teacher, coach, to a millionaire business owner, investor, speaker, author, and Oklahoma state politician. He's the CEO of the Leadership Initiative, a business consulting firm that helps small business generate more revenues, get their company organized, and build the right team so that they can manage from a distance. He has been a guest speaker of choice for TaylorMade Golf, Farmer Insurance, and Chick-fil-A. He's the business coach of choice, over 30 clients who produce combined revenue of 300 million annually, and he's the author of Grow, a field guide to personal development, and Just Don't Suck. Shine like a star in the universe of employees. Clay has been shot, stabbed, and homeless. He played football at the University of Oklahoma for legendary coach Barry Swets. He's been award Teacher of the Year, Citizen of the Year, Oklahoma's #1 motivational speaker, and top 5 business coach in Oklahoma. His favorite conversation topics are religious, politics, and money. All the things that you weren't supposed to talk about. Welcome to the show, Clay.
Thank you so much. It's good to be with you today, Swire. Thank you for the invitation. I look forward to spending some time with you and with your listeners today.
Is there anything that you have not experienced before? Have anyone ever told you that you're like a Superman?
I haven't heard that one yet. I like that. And now I've actually got it on a recording. I'll have to use that around.
Okay.
But no, it really has been something. I didn't set out, to do all of that. It just seems like the life path has led in that direction. And one of the things maybe we'll get into a little bit later on in the show. But I think all of us, Swire, have heard at different times in our life, we've heard that voice inside of our head saying, there's more. There's more to you than you have accessed. And I've heard that a number of times, and I've followed that voice. And so that has led me from being a high school teacher to leading a ministry to having my own business and now actually being in the Oklahoma House of Representatives.
Yeah, I know that's with your bio, there's like multiple episodes that we can unpack in there. There's so much good stuff I want to ask you. But I wanted to ask you from being a teacher to a coach, and then from your own journey, how did you end up being a coach, and what do you enjoy most working with client nowadays?
Yeah, I think for me personally, you talk about things that are hardwired into people, and you've got different people have different giftings and different talents. And for me, Swire, definitely being in front of people, teaching, coaching, training, mentoring, developing, leading, speaking, all of those are very natural to me. They're hardwired into me. I think my first public speaking engagement was when I was 12 years old.
Wow.
And so I've kind of grown up in this world. And it's interesting how, even though I've had several different positions over the last 40 years, each of those positions have been teaching, training, developing, mentoring, coaching. It's all been the same thing, just different vehicles. And so I grew up in a leadership family. My mom and dad were very much in front of people and doing a bunch of teaching and training. So I think I picked it up from them as well as my brother and my sisters.
Okay. The first question that I wanted to really ask you is I saw that on the notes that you sent me. You said the main thing is stopping you to success is actually you. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, I did a whole training series when my wife and I ran a nonprofit ministry called Shepherd's Fold Ranch. We started a discipleship training school, and I put together a ton of training sessions on discipleship. And the foundation of the whole thing was how you think is the most important thing about you. And I find this very often when I'm working with a business owner. I find that most often the biggest limiting factor is the thinking of the business owner. What is possible and what is not possible? And the steps that we go through in helping business owners grow their business to a point where they're making a lot of money, but they also have time freedom. A lot of those steps, there are always, and I get it, there will be resistance to those because they just don't fit in the way that we think, you know. And so I think that that is probably at the foundation of your biggest limiting factor. Most often is going to be you. And I definitely found that with myself when I started my company after being a school teacher forever and then being in ministry for a long time. All of a sudden I wanted to be a this thing that I discovered, Swire, I didn't like. Somehow along the way I had interpreted a wealthy successful businessman as a bad thing, and that thinking I had to deal with it. Woo, man, it took me about 8 months. I had to deal with that thinking. How you think about money. There's so much out there in business. There's this poverty mentality that business owners can fall into, and it just really limits your ability to be successful. So a lot of times you got to work through a lot of that personal crap, to get to the other side, so you can actually be successful. And I definitely, I'm a poster child for that. I had to do that myself.
So you think some of it will be the limiting factor, right? We're talking about that. Maybe it's because how we were brought up, maybe the education that we have, maybe is where, the culture sometimes play into factor. So you think, as a coach, then it's for you to understand where they came from, maybe try to unpack them a little bit, and obviously coach them. It's okay to think about money. It's okay to think about growth. Right? Is that some of the
Yeah.
conversation that you have?
Yeah, you're right. And I don't know where it comes from. For me, I don't know where it came from. I just know I discovered it. And it's like, uh-oh, I better deal with this and get on the other side of it, or else I'm not going to be able to move beyond that. And it would have been a huge limiting factor for me because I found out really quick I had some real issues with money, the way I thought about money and that poverty mentality. And it didn't make me wrong, didn't make me bad. It just made me limited as a business owner. And so I had to spend some time kind of working through that and getting on the other side. It was
So
extreme. Go ahead.
yeah, so what are some of the questions, and if you could share, to the listener, like that we should maybe ask ourselves, like, so, maybe we're kind of stuck or we want to grow bigger, but then our, conscience tell it, you don't want to be that, rich person, because like in all movie, rich person are kind of like the bad guy, right?
I know, and that probably doesn't help. All that, the rich person that's greedy and all that kind of stuff. Even a lot of times when I talk with clients about, we need to increase your prices. If we need to
Yeah,
increase prices,
that's a good
increase
thing.
profit, let's talk about prices. And it's like, oh no, I could never do that. I would lose all my clients. It's like, well, no, you won't. But I think just a lot of the questions. Well, first of all, probably the biggest question is that if you have been a business owner for a while and you have been trying the same thing over and over and it's not working, it's time to change ships.
Hmm.
It's time to jump ship. The idea of, again, going back to how you think is the most important thing about you. Swire, I'm a firm believer that you can only think what you think. It's impossible for you to think differently than what you think. And that's why I would sit alone at night in bed staring at the ceiling trying to solve problems, but I would keep coming back to the same exact solution, because you can only think what you think. And so it requires us to open ourselves up to allow outside thinking to come in, whether that be a book or whether that be a coach or whether that be a video or a training series. Opening yourself up to actually be able to receive new thinking is vital to being able to change the way you think. You won't be able to do it on your own. I will tell you that. You won't be able to change your thinking on your own. You'll
Hmm.
have to have help.
Okay, so since you touched on that topic, I obviously do wanted to generate more revenue. What are some of the ways or some of the thinking that we have to adapt, in order to generate more revenue for our business?
Sure. Yeah. And I would say on this, as far as generating more revenue, there are multiple different ways, but I'm going
Mhm.
to dive into one very simple one. Okay. And this is going to work for 90% of the small business
Really?
owners out of
Mm.
there. 90%. Okay. And maybe even more than that. But
Mm.
if you start getting into government work, and stuff like that, it doesn't work so much there. But if you are a company that actually does marketing and actually goes out and actually presents an option to your clients and does a sales presentation, then I would say the number one step that you need to take is making sure that your Google business listing is number one in the maps. Whenever you type in whatever keyword that you want to be top for, if you don't show up in the top three on the Google map, then you need to make sure you've got a business listing with Google. Number two, you need to make sure that you have more reviews than anybody else. And I would say just take whoever is number one and double that number. Many times, Swire, many times. Just we worked with a basement remodeler that was in Milwaukee, and when we first started out with him, he was right around $200,000, and there was going to be way too much competition for him to actually get his website to the top of Google. But we had to get him seen. We had to get him in front of his ideal and likely buyer. So he dove in and got his business listing. He got I think over 300 reviews. He was the highest and most reviewed remodeler in Milwaukee. And he went in 3 years, he went from just over $200,000 to $3 million in revenue. And that was his primary marketing source. All of his leads were coming through that Google review. People were seeing his reviews. So
So
I'm just going to
just
let you
to
know
confirm, we're not talking about the search on search engine optimization. We're talking about the Google My Business where it show up on the map and on the right side on the Google search result that is located in a geographical area. Is that what you're referring to?
that is correct. I'm not talking about search engine optimization and getting your website to the top, although that's very good. You want to try to do that. But many times that can be a hard pull because there can be a lot of competition in your area. But if you do, just Google. Your listeners can do it right now. Just Google whatever the keyword is that you want to win in your city. So I may type in business coaching Tulsa or business consulting Tulsa and see what shows up. You want to make sure that you are in that top three of the business listing. And because what is it? I think that now it's like 90. I think it's almost 91% of people read reviews before they buy.
Hmm.
And it's we do that with all of our clients. Almost every one of our clients are the highest and most reviewed in their market, in their industry, and in their market. And that begins to be a primary source for leads for them. And so that's our first step. We've just got to get more leads. That would be the big step that I would want to leave with your listeners
Okay.
today on the road to generating revenue. Once we're getting leads, okay, now we need to work on actually turning those leads into paying customers. But we've got to get those leads first. So that's the first big step for everybody.
What about I a big believer for getting repeat business. I don't believe in one-time customer. What are your thoughts on encouraging repeat business? So obviously we have to spend time acquiring the leads. Obviously we have to do work to, set up and make sure that we get good reviews, right, for the business listing. But once people purchase from us, I talk to a lot of business owner, they actually have no strategy on retaining those customers.
Mm-hmm.
What are your
Yeah.
thoughts on that?
Oh man, I was just talking with a client this morning on their coaching call. It's a printing company over in Bentonville, Arkansas. And we do a lot of tracking with every one of our clients. We track all kinds of stuff. And unfortunately, very few business owners do track. And so, what we do when you get a lead or when somebody calls or when you're reaching out, you want to always find out, how did you hear about us? How did you hear about us? And you will find, like you were talking about, Swire, that many times you will begin getting repeat customers. I probably have about half of my businesses that I coach with the business owners, where they have a lot of repeat business. And the reason why I know that is because the lead source is previous customer. And so it could be like 50% of their business is previous customer. And so if that's the case, if you have a lot of repeat business, then what I do immediately, this is something we're working on with my client in Bentonville right now, because we've just been with them for about 5 months, is we've recognized that most of their business is repeat.
Hmm.
And so we are now putting together an entire ad campaign and a marketing campaign to previous customers. And so you want to create that culture. You want to create that tribe of people that continue to do business with you. And there are multiple different ways to do that. But I think, again, step number one is you need to begin to track where your customers are coming from. And if you find that a large percentage, and I'll let you determine, Swire, I'll let you determine what a large percentage is, okay? There's no magic number. If 62% come, then you do this. It is whatever the percentage is for you. But if you're getting a large percentage of clients coming from previous business with you, then you definitely want to put together a marketing campaign specifically for them. And it all begins with a phone call.
Mhm.
It all begins with a phone call. I'm huge on the phone call. Personally, I'm not real big on send them an email, because most people don't read emails. They get lost. And I'll read an email maybe from my mom, and for my wife, but I don't know if I'm going to read some rando email, So email's not best. I do email for follow-up, whereas the phone call is always where I'm reaching out to people for the first time. We put together a short little script. Hey, man, we haven't talked to you in a while. It's great to hope things are going well. Do you have any current needs right now in this specific area where your industry may be?
Yeah, I think this will go back to what you just talked about in the beginning, right? It's your thinking. A lot of us, as
Yeah,
small business owner, we're hot driving, right? Hot driven. We want to do marketing. We want to meet 100 people a day and collect all the business cards. But a lot of times, I ask my own client too, once you have them through the door, what kind of strategy do you have in place to make sure that they order from you again? And, for everyone listening, to retain and make sure that your repeat customer are happy, it's actually a lot easier than to convince someone new that you are the company for them, because
yes,
your
of
paying
course.
somebody already have bought from you. They have worked with you. Hopefully you do a good job, right? So it's a lot easier for people to purchase from you again. But sometimes people just let this gold mine slip away.
That is correct. And again, like you said, Swire, you got to be good. You can't suck. And that's why I wrote that book. Just don't suck. You can't suck, because it's going to be really hard if you don't provide a tremendous experience for your customers. It's going to be hard to get them back. So,
Yeah, I think that this is the area where small business can actually shine. Even perform better than the bigger competitor. Because nowadays, if you try to call or email or do whatever, communicate with a big company, you don't talk to any human being, or you spend 45 minutes just to be on hold.
right,
But if you are getting ready, you're a small business, you can actually respond. You can actually pivot. If customer do a complaint, you can actually solve it on the spot. Maybe they just want a coupon, right, for next time, or they just want you to come by and fix a small thing, and they will be happy. That could mean having a happy customer versus having a mad customer who go on all the
right,
review sites to talk about you. Like, which
right.
way would you rather be? So I
Mhm.
think it's a small thing that small business owner can definitely do.
Oh, completely, completely. You have the freedom to do that and the flexibility to do that as a small business owner.
So, let's talk about, just don't suck book a little bit. So,
Let's go
it,
ahead and get into
yeah,
that.
in your view, like for the customer service experience, what do people expect nowadays? Do we just be human and pick up a phone, that could be it. Because I think like the bar is set pretty low right now with all the chatbots and with all the call center that is, you don't talk to a human being. Like, what should people expect and set their customer service experience in small business?
Yeah, I would agree with you. In so many areas right now, the bar is so low. My book, Just Don't Suck, I was actually teaching a college class to a bunch of seniors in a business school, and they were getting ready to launch out into the marketplace. And I just asked them one evening in class, what are some of the adjectives that my generation or the generation that's getting ready to hire you, what are some of the adjectives that we use to describe your generation? That's all I said. It was I wasn't meaning to be mean or anything, but man, they started just saying, "Oh, entitled, lazy, we don't want to work," and just all of these
So
negative
they know, they
things.
actually know, right? They know
Yeah,
that.
they know
Hmm.
because they've heard it, and so I'm writing all of these things on the whiteboard, and while I'm writing them, it just comes to my mind. My gosh, to get a job and to win in the marketplace just don't suck, you know? And so I turned around, I was going, guys, this is your competition right here. This is what people expect out of you. So all you got to do is just don't suck. And before the end of the class, I had everybody chanting, just don't suck, just don't suck, because the bar is so low. And I think you're right, Swire, with for your listeners that are out there, when it comes to customer service, I think the bar is so low. What we put up with, if you're a contractor, holy cow, the bar is so low for
Just
contractors.
return phone call and show up on
Yeah,
time is
thank
just
you.
that will be it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I actually have 3 clients right now that are contractors, and that is exactly what they do to set themselves apart. We pick up the phone. We will call you back. We will show up when we tell you we will show up. We will guarantee on time and on budget. And just those small little things that you can do to set yourself apart in customer service. Because again, the bar is just very, very low right
I think
now. And I would say too,
mhm.
if you do get that Google business listing and you get more reviews than anybody else and you're up in that number 1 slot, I would strongly encourage you to put on the header of your website that you are the highest and most reviewed, whatever it is, the highest and most reviewed builder in your city.
Yeah, I think with
I even have, go ahead.
technology is actually helpful. I've called a couple of places before where they're busy, right? They couldn't pick up the phone right away, but they said if you leave the number, we have someone call you back right away. So I now with that technology, however much that costs, then I could go on with my life, and maybe 30 minutes later they call me back, and I'm happy. I actually
Love
want
that.
that. I don't want to wait. There are technologies that could be useful, right? Um, it's just I think the communication right now between one person finding a service or maybe finding a product to connecting with the right people, it's just so crucial. Like people will work with me because they know that I pick up the phone, and when they email me, I respond in reasonable time. I think that's a given. Like for me, it's a given, but like to them, it's amazing. Like I don't know
Yeah.
who they have been dealing with, but I really do get a lot of people nowadays because they're just they just hate their current supply or vendor so much, but
Right.
they but sometimes people get attached to it. They don't want to switch. Knowing that it could be worse. So I think that's kind of why people are not switching to another business right now. Like,
Mhm.
what are your thoughts on just being better to the competitor? Do you really go really far better than your competition, or just enough so that you're better than everyone? What are your thoughts on that?
Again, the bar is so low, depending upon what market you're in, you can probably not even do very much and blow the competition away. We do with each of our clients, we do a secret shopper.
Hmm.
So I encourage you, whoever you think your competition is, okay? Oh, here's something that may challenge your thinking. All right. If you want to know who your competition is, what you want to do is Google, all right, Google whatever the key term is in your city, and whoever comes up one, two, or three in that Google search, that's your competition.
Mm.
You may, man, I've never heard of these people. Well, you may not have ever heard, but when people go to, and again, 92% of the population goes online to shop before they buy. So that's where your competition is. You may have never heard of the top 3 companies that are there on Google, but that's who everybody else is hearing. And they're the ones that are getting the phone call. So I encourage you and your listeners, call those people. Call them, see if they pick up the phone. If they don't pick up the phone, leave a message and then see how long it takes them to call you back. If they have some type of, if they do answer the phone, check out how they answer the phone. Do they have energy? Are they like, yep, Bob's? It's like, whoa, what kind of answer is that? Although I've had clients that when I've listened to phone calls, that's what I've heard, And so listen to what they say on the phone. Do they walk you through an energetic script that actually collects information from you, or not? When they come to your house, if it's a business that actually comes to your house to check something out, do they show up in a nice vehicle or is it beat up? Do they show up in a uniform or are they in a dirty t-shirt? Do they have a clipboard or are they just sitting there kind of looking at everything while they pick their teeth with a toothpick because they've just come from lunch? Again, all of these things are very real, and you can actually shop your competition. And now you can, with confidence, go out there and say, we will answer your phone. We will answer the phone. Nobody else does, because we've done it.
I think you touch on something very important, especially in the trade industry. The detail matters, right? So let's say I'm a homeowner, I'm getting quotes, right, from different vendors. So people will come to your home and they do inspect whatever that they do. We as a homeowner, I have certainly done it myself, judging how they walk in. How do they represent themselves? Do they just walk in with dirty boots all over my floor, or do they put on booties and they put on maybe a cover when they do certain things around my house? But these are small details that people look.
Yeah.
It could change to maybe you sell carpets, or you sell even for a digital services. How do you attention to details? I think as a consumer, as a person who purchased services before, I do look at that, and that's, if you trying to slack or if you try to cut costs, I see those right away.
Oh, completely. Yeah, so we could say that's number 2. When you're trying to build a business, that not only provides you money and the financial freedom, but also provides you time freedom, then number 1 is we've got to have a confident, proven system that helps you get leads. One of those steps, as we said, was let's work on that Google Map listing. Okay. Secondly, details matter. I'll just grab that right off of you, Swire. I just stole it from you. All right. Details matter to keep those clients in and to even get new clients in, to be able to competitively compare your company to your competitor. And then next of all, number 3, we'll say we got to get organized. We got to get organized. And again, when I first start out with business owners, this is probably one of the most difficult things that they have to overcome, is that they are not organized. I ask them, hey, what's your password to this? And they go, I have no idea. Okay, well, what are some financials here? I need to call my accountant. It's like, okay, and they just don't know where things are. Let's talk a little bit about your time. Let's talk about time management. They go, oh yeah, Clay, I do a terrible job of time management. If the phone rings, I have to answer it, and it blows up my entire day. So with each of our clients, the very first thing that we help them organize, there's 5 different pieces, but the first thing that we help them organize is their time. And we go through talking about sharing calendars, having an actual digital calendar that you can share with your employees. And even depending upon the business, you can even share that calendar with your clients and with your customers, depending upon the industry. But actually blocking out time I'm sure that you and your listeners have heard of the phrase, well, I just want to make sure that I have time-life balance.
Yeah.
Just want to work-life balance is what
Right.
I'm looking for here.
Hmm.
Work-life. And I'll just let you know, work-life balance it's a joke. It is not real. Don't believe it. It's a deceit. There is no such thing as work-life balance. It's called life. And work is a part of it. Okay? Work is a part of it. But also family is a part of it.
Hmm.
Your recreation and fun is a part of it. Your friendships are a part of it. Your fitness is a part of it. All of these things are a part of your life. So when it comes to actually blocking out time, what we do with each of our clients is we always start out with setting what we call our F6 goals.
Okay.
And that's your family, finance, faith, fun, friends, fitness. Family, finance, faith, fun, friends, fitness. Those are your F6 goals. And if you're going to set a goal, you and I both know, and serves many of your listeners do as well, that if you're going to set a goal, you've got to put a time on it. So the most difficult question that most business owners struggle with is the word when. When are you going to do this? Let's get away from I should do it and I need to do it. And let's say, when are you going to do it? And so what we do with our clients, and what I encourage your listeners to do, Swire, is to begin blocking time. Yes, we need to work. If you've got a business, you've got to work. All right. Well, how much time are you going to block out for work? And again, because we're not organized with our time, we just work. We just work. We just work. And we work. Oh man, I really need to spend time on my fitness. I should spend time with my family. I really need to do this. But we just work. We just work. And what I tell you, it is so freeing when you actually have a time blocked schedule, a routine for every week. It allows you to say no. And again, right there, Swire, I probably just hacked off half of your listeners are right there. It allows you to say no. Because I can now say, no, I can't do that right now, but I can do it later on this afternoon, or I can do it tomorrow at 2:00, because that's where my time blocks are. And the trap that people get into is the tyranny of the urgency, of the urgent. We've got to do it now. And that can be a real trap. Again, that goes back to the way we think. It goes back to the way we think.
I think saying no is an art, and this is an art that we all need to master, because I think the more you say no, and then you can get a yes that is right for you. As a salesperson and a small business owner, I think this is, if you could see it, it's a $1 million bill. And I think
Nice.
I guess on
Yeah.
the small business show send it to me, because if I'm trying really hard, try to persuade a potential client to work with me, they're going to back away. But if I'm saying no to them sometime, they say, "Wow, he must be good. Like he is saying no to me on certain things, and we're not used to that. Maybe he knows something that we don't." I'm actually getting more inquiries and more people who are more engaged with me just because I say no to them sometime. And
Yeah.
then with the money here, I have $1 million here. So I don't need to go for every single one that walk through my door. I'm saying no to certain people. So I think
Uh,
for me, actually work better. The more I could learn to say no, not in a nice way, right? Not in a, in a way that make it suck, right? I want to
right.
say no to certain people just to get the big yes, that I'm looking for.
Yeah. Right. Right. I totally agree. And again, it all comes down to how you think. And if you don't have a process to generate leads on a consistent basis, then every time that phone rings, you're going to feel like I have to answer it because I don't know when it's going to ring again.
Hmm.
And what we want to do at the Leadership Initiative is we want to help you as a business owner become confident that I know that my phone is going to ring 35 times this week. Why do I know that? Because I can look at my tracking sheet and I can say for the last 17 weeks, it has rung an average of 35 times a week. So you can begin to say no. But if you don't have that tracking, and if you don't have that confidence, then it's like, oh no, I've got to answer it and I've got to say yes. Even
Mhm.
though it's really not a job that's good for me, it's not really a job that I want to do, but I feel like I've got to do it because I don't know when I'm going to get it next.
Yeah,
And
that's
man,
true.
if you're not careful, you can get trapped in that for years, and
Mhm.
it can be really hard. In fact, there may be a listener or two right now that's hearing that and they're going, I have been trapped in that space for years. I just want to encourage you, call me. We'll talk about it. It doesn't cost you anything. Just give me a call. I love to do this stuff. It gives me life to actually help somebody get from where they are to where they want to be.
Mhm.
So give me a call, 918-798-0852. That is my cell phone. Give me a ring and we'll talk about it and help you work your way through that.
So Clay, you mentioned that, right? To call you on the show. So for listeners who have individual questions or really want to dive deeper to find out what coaching can help the business, so the phone call is the best way. Where else can they find you?
Yeah, and again, you can call me 918-798-0852 is my cell phone number, and we'll just have a conversation, okay? Free of charge. Let's take some time. If I'm busy, don't worry. We'll just get back together and set up a time to talk. But that's the best way to reach out and just get an answer to a hot question that you have right now. If you're in a spot where you are looking for more of a long-term relationship, and Clay, I need somebody not only to help me with what to do, but I need someone that will walk with me and hold me accountable to actually doing those things and show me how to do the what to do. Then let's set up a time and run together for a season. You can find me at claystairs.com, CLAYSTAIRES.com is going to be the best place to find me online. You can Google my name, Swire. I am actually the only Clay Stairs online. I'm the
Nice.
only one out there, the only Clay Stairs. So if you Google me, now what you'll have to do is scroll down a little bit because currently I've been doing a lot in politics. So you're going to have to scroll through a bunch of political things to get down to the leadership initiative to my coaching company. But that's if you just Google Clay Stairs. But again, business coaching, business consulting, Tulsa, you're going to find me pop right up at the top. So do reach out. I'd love to spend some time. And then finally, a third thing, if you are saying, Clay, I would like a little bit more than a phone call, but I don't know if I want to do the coaching thing, then still give me a call. Let's get you set up. We've got a business conference coming up in December. And we do these about every quarter, sometimes about every 4 or 5 months. We do these business conferences. And we're going to be doing one. The next one's coming up in December. It's going to be a 2-day business conference. We've got Tim Tebow that's going to be coming and joining us for that conference, as well as probably about 400. We just got through with the conference last weekend, and we had 377 people there. We'll probably have well over 400 coming to this next one. And let's get you set up. I will cover your ticket for that. It'll be a pro bono. Come and join us.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on to the show today, Clay. I learned a lot from you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Flyer.